Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Swamini Gopal Mataji, she's there.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, you can start, Mataji, whenever you're ready.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayat Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namo Pankajanabhaya Namo Pankajamanine Namo Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangri. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, verse 27 to 39. The first step in God realization. Text 27. The knees of the universal form are the planetary systems of the name Sutala, and the two thighs are the Vithala and Atala planetary systems. The hips are Mahitala, and the other space is the depressions of his navel. Text 28. The chest of the original personality of the gigantic form of the luminary planetary system. His neck is Mahar planet, his mouth is Janus planet, and his forehead is Tapas planetary system. The topmost planetary system, known as Satyaloka, is the head of he who has 1,000 heads. Text 29. His arms are the demigods headed by Indra. The 10 directional sides are his ears, and his physical sound is his senses of hearing. His nostrils are the two Ashwini Kumaras, and material fragrances is his sense of smell. His mouth is the blazing fire. Text 30. The spheres of the outer space constitute his eye pits, and the eyeballs is the sun as the power of seeing. His eyelids are both and day and night, and in the moment of his eyebrows, Brahma and similar supreme personalities resides. His palate is the director of water, Varuna, and the juices are essence of everything in his tongue. Text 31. They say that the Vedic hymns are the cerebral passage of the Lord, and his jaws of teeth are Yama, god of death, who punishes the sinners. The art of affection is his set of teeth, and the most alluring illusionary material energy is his smile. This great ocean of material creation is but the casting of his glance over us. Text 32. Modesty is the upper portion of his hips. Hankering is his chin. Religion is the breast of the Lord, and religion is his back. Brahmaji, who generates all living beings in the material world, is his genitals, and the Mahitala Varunas are his two testicles. The ocean is his waist, and the hills and mountains are the stacks of his bones. Text 33. O king, the rivers are the veins of the gigantic body. The trees are the hair of his body, and the omnipotent air is his breath. The passing ages are his moments, and his activities are the reactions of the three modes of material nature. Text 34. O best among the Kurus, the clouds which carries water are the hairs of his head. The terminations of the day and or night and are his dress, and the supreme cause of material creation is his intelligence. His mind is the moon, the reservoir of all changes. Text 35. The principle of matter, Mahat, Tattva is the consciousness of the omnipotent Lord, as asserted by the experts, and Rudra Deva is his ego. The horse, mule, camel, and elephant are his snails. A wild animal and all quadrupeds are situated in the belt zone of the Lord. Text 36. Varieties of birds are indications of his masterful artistic sense. Manu, the father of the mankind, is the emblem of his standard intelligence, and humility is his residence. The celestial species of human being, like the Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, Charanas, and angels, all represent his musical rhythms, and the demonic soldiers are representations of his wonderful prowess. Text 37. The Virat Purusha's face is the Brahmanas, his arms are the Kshatriyas, his thighs are the Vaishyas, and the Sudras are under protection of his feet. All the worshipable demigods are also overtaken by him, and it is the duty of everyone to perform sacrifices with feasible goods and appraise the Lord. Text 38. I have thus explained to you the gross material, gigantic conception of the personality of Godhead. One who seriously desires liberation concentrates his mind on this form of the Lord, because there is nothing more than this in the material world. Text 39. One who concentrates his mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who alone distributes himself, is in so many manifestations, just as ordinary person creates thousands of manifestations in dreams. One must concentrate his mind on him, the only all blissful absolute truth. Otherwise, one will be misled and will cause his own degradation. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, the first step in God realization. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mataji. Sri Krishna Prabhu, whenever you're ready, you can start, Prabhuji.
Yeah, sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So today we are starting with verse number 27. So here Sukadeva Goswami is elaborately describing the Virat Rupa to Parikshit Maharaj. So the reason why he is describing is in the previous chapter, previous verses. In the first canto, last chapter, we have seen Parikshit Maharaj is especially asking the question that what one should do, what one should remember, worship, chant, and hear when he's about to die, when he's about to leave the body. So that was a specific question. And in 7 days, Parikshit Maharaj is going to leave the body. So the answer has to be very, very appropriate. So here Sukadeva Goswami is now, in the initial verses, Sukadeva Goswami described about the glories of Lord Sri Krishna, how by remembering, worshipping, hearing and chanting the glories of Lord Sri Krishna, one can actually liberate himself. And specifically in the verse 22 is saying Harir Namanu Kirtanam, so Krishna's Kirtana is the best way for all, everyone, fearless way to achieve salvation, achieve liberation. So that is the perfection he's saying. And now, so specific to, now actually another question that was asked by Parikshit Maharaj was elaborately in detail, please describe all that one, I forgot the verse number. So now Sukadeva Goswami is elaborately describing. Now he's starting with the how one can meditate upon the Supreme Lord Virat Roop for observing one's mind completely. Because in the material world, like Prabhupada mentions this, in the material world, we have these material creation. This is 7 planetary systems on the upper planetary systems and 7 on the lower planetary systems. This is one universe. Like in the upper planetary system, we have Bu, Buhar, Bu, Bur, Bu, Bur, Swar, Mahar, Tapas, Janas, Satyalok, like 7 planetary systems. In the lower planetary systems, we have Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, Patala. So Patala is the lowest. Now in the Virat Rupa here, Sukadeva Goswami is very, very expertly describing how the whole material universe is nothing but the gigantic form of the Lord. So that absorption in one's mind, he's bringing that visualization by describing each of the parts of the universe and then corresponding part of the body of the Lord. So if you take the human form, like the body of the Lord, there is, feet, toes, thighs, abdomen, belly, and lotus face, and shoulders, hands, legs. So all of the form of the Lord, he is equating it to the Virat Rupa. This is the gigantic manifestation of this creation. So it's very beautiful if we understand, just imagine the form and then corresponding form of the Lord. Otherwise, it's very technical. I'll try to just go through the verses one by one. So here, starting from verse number 26. So here, starting from the Patala Loka. Patala Loka is considered the lowest. So the Patala Loka is being compared to the Lord's lotus feet. And then above Patala Loka is what Rasatala Loka is there. And Rasatala Loka is compared to the heels and toes of the Lord. And then similarly, when you go a little bit higher, there's ankles. The ankles are compared to Mahatala Loka. Mahatala Loka. And then the 2 beautiful shanks of the Lord's lotus feet is compared to the Talatala Loka. So then 4 planetary systems from the bottom, Patala, Rasatala, Mahatala, and Talatala. Like 4, we can see that it is compared to these parts of the body of the Lord. And then going up, the knees, just above there is a knees. The knees is compared to the Sutala Loka. Sutala Loka is just above the Talatala Loka. And then you can see Atala, Vitala, Sutala, right? So Sutala is compared to the knees, and the 2 thighs just above that, so form of the Lord, the 2 thighs is compared to the Vitala and Atala planetary systems. So that constitutes the lower part of the body. Now comes to the hips of the Supreme Lord. So the hips is compared to Mahitala. So it is here, it said Mahitala. So I'm not sure which part of the universe Mahitala. And then the outer space of the, suppose you take one universe is like the egg-shaped, and then there is outer space also, right? So the outer space is compared to the depression of the navel of the Supreme Lord. So the navel, beautiful form, like Mother Kunti also says, the Lord's navel is like a lotus flower. Nama Pankaja Nabhaya, Nama Pankaja Maline. So here the beautiful navel is described as the outer space of the creation. And then going on, Sukadeva Goswami is going to the upper portion of the Lord. Upper portion of the Lord he's starting with the chest of the Supreme Lord. The chest of the Supreme Lord is comparing that to the luminary planetary systems, the upper 7 planetary systems, and he's saying, so when you see the upper planetary system, there is a Bu, Buar, Swar, Mahar, Janas, Tapas, Satyalokam. So here, Mahar and Satyalokam is the topmost. So the Mahar Lokam is comparing to the neck of the Supreme Lord. So the beautiful portion of the neck of the Lord, and the mouth is comparing to the Janaloka, and the forehead is comparing to the Tapaloka of the upper planetary system. And then the Satyaloka or the Brahmaloka, which is the topmost of the material, this one universe, he's comparing that to the head of the Supreme Lord, who has 1,000 heads. So in other words, is like in Bhagavad Gita also, Lord, it was said that how Lord Krishna's hands, Sarvapani, like his hands and legs and head is situated everywhere. Like, so here it is also described, it has 1,000 heads. It could be a reference to Adisesha also. So text 29, going further, here the universal creation, there are different, just like the different planetary systems in the 14 planetary systems, there are also different material, how to, universal affairs that are managed in this creation, like the demigods, and then the directions, the sound, and like these, all of these elements of the universal creation also being compared to the universal Virat Rupa of Lord Krishna here. So Virat Rupa, here it was mentioned that the arms of the Supreme Lord is compared to Indra, demigods headed by Indra. So the demigods are like his arms, and then all of these directions, like 4 sides, north, east, south, west, and there are also other directions, like 10 directions, right? So all of these directions are compared here to Lord's ears, and his sound, his physical sound, is compared to his hearing capacity, and his nostrils are compared to Ashwini Kumaras, and the fragrance of this earth, like the material fragrance, is compared to his sense of smell, and his mouth is compared to the blazing fire. So here is another reference that in Shastra, that generally Brahmanas do yagya, fire sacrifices, and they offer all of the wonderful things, including ghee. So those are actually, when the fire is considered to be the mouth of the Supreme Lord, and when Brahmanas invoke with mantras, whatever they offer, it is actually accepted by the Supreme Lord through the medium of the fire. So, and also here verse number 30. So here going again to the upper portion of the Lord's, Supreme Lord's form, now focusing on the head of the Supreme Lord. So here it is said the head has, eyelids, eyes, and all of these parts of the body also is giving comparison to the Virat Rupa. So what Sukadeva Goswami is saying is the outer space constitutes eye pits. So the eye pits is like, if we can see that the eye, depth of the eye, that eye pits, and then the eyeball is compared to sun. So even in Brahma Samhita also, it is mentioned that sun is the eye of the Supreme Lord. Yet chakshur savitagrahanam, so Raja Shamasta Suramurti Rasesha Tejaha. So in the Brahma Samhita also it says that the fiery sun is nothing but the eyes of the Supreme Lord, eyeball, and the seeing power is the eyeball is the sun of the So the eyeball is considered the sun, that is the power of seeing of the Supreme Lord. And then there are, in the eyes, you can see there are eyelids, the upper portion, lower portion. It is said here that those are the days and nights. And when the eye movements happens, like when eyes are moving, the days and nights are rolling. So that's the movements of eyebrows, it's mentioned here. And then in Satyaloka or Brahmaloka, there are great personalities, including Brahmaji, and all of them reside. And it is also mentioned here that the Varuna, who is the demigod of gel or water, he's the palate or juice or essence of everything in the tongue. So palate meaning the digestive juice or essence. And then verse number 31 going on further. Now again the descriptions of the face of the Supreme Lord. Some more details about his teeth, and then his alluring smile, glance, all of the features of the face also is compared to the Virat Rupa. So now the Vedic mantras is compared to the cerebral passage of the Lord. Like cerebral passage means the brain, like we have brain, that there are several passages between brain and the body. This is compared to the Vedic mantras. And then the teeth is compared to the Yamaraj, here the god of death, Yamaraj, who punishes the sinners. And then the most alluring material energy, the Maya, is compared here to the smile of the Supreme Lord. So the smile of the Supreme Lord can be in both ways. It can be alluring in the material energy. It can be alluring from the spiritual perspective also, both sides. So here again, it's going further. So the ocean of material creation is but the casting of his glance. So here also we can see the Shastra says that the Lord's, all of the bodily parts can perform any of these activities. So in Brahma Samhita also it says that Angani yashya sakalendriya vrittimanti pashyanti panti kalayanti chiram jaganti. So in that we can see that any form of the Krishna's body can function like any other part, like any other senses. So just by looking at the material creation, he can actually agitate this material energy and create the material creation. So that glance is mentioned here. Ocean. So this great ocean of material creation is just a casting of his glance over us. So that's what mentioned. And then more details about the features of the face is again given. Going further on, verse number 32, the upper lips of the Supreme Lord is considered the modesty, and hankering is considered to be his chin, and religion is considered on the breast of the Supreme Lord, and religion is on the back. So again, we can see that this same religion is on the chest of the Supreme Lord. This message comes in other verses also in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And all the living entities that they're populated in this material world, in this Brahmaji, who is the one who actually creates all of the living entities. He is like the architect of this material universe. So he is the creation portion of the Lord. So that's why he is compared to the genitals here. And then the Mitra Varunas are compared to his testicles, and the ocean is compared to his waist. So if you look at the gigantic Virata Purusha, there are many beautiful mountains, hills, which are compared to the bones. So in this body also we can see like the bones are, protruded here and there. Like, so similarly, the material creation, the mountains are so huge, and those are compared to the bones of the Supreme Lord. And then going further, the rivers which travel along this creation, they are compared to the veins in the body, veins of the Supreme Lord. And all these trees, wonderful trees and gigantic trees, they are considered to be the hairs on the body of the Supreme Lord. And the air, the Vayu, is considered as his breathing of the Supreme Lord. And the age, the moments of his is compared here to the three modes of material nature, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, and the reactions of these three modes. So those are considered as moments, activities, and reactions of the three modes. So going on further here, now Sukadeva Goswami is elaborately describing on the head portion of the Supreme Lord. Now is describing on the hairs on the head. Now the hairs on the head is comparing it to the clouds which are actually on the space, is comparing it to the head, hairs on the head. And then he's saying that the days and night, the terminations is comparing it to a dress, the bodily dress. And moon here is comparing it to the mind. So the moon and reservoir of all changes. So the moon is compared to Chandrama, Sa Chandramaha Sarva Vikara Koshaha. So the reservoir of all changes. So again, the moon, it said it's a reservoir of all, saying Sarva Vikara Koshaha. And then going on further, the Mahatattva, which is the principal element from which the whole creation comes out, is actually considered here as the consciousness of the Supreme Lord. So again, if you see that within this material universe, the living entities, the soul is considered to be the, where the consciousness emanates. It's in the material creation, the Mahatattva is the origin, like all of the elements combined together, that is considered like a consciousness of the Supreme Lord. And Rudra Deva is considered to be his ego. So Rudra Deva is Lord Shiva's potency. There are 11 Rudras that manifest in this creation from Brahmaji. So they are considered his ego. And a specific name of the animals also given here. And they are compared to a specific portion of the body of the Supreme Lord. Is very uniquely mentioned. Horse, mule, camel, and elephant are compared to his nails. And wild animals and quadrupeds meaning four-legged, they are compared to they are situated in the belt zone of the Lord. They are like, it says that they are situated in the belt zone of the Virat Purusha's form. And also again, this birds is also mentioned here. The varieties of birds are compared to Supreme Lord's artistic, material, masterful, creational sense. So varieties of birds, there are so many wonderful birds. Chakravaka is, one of the birds that Shastra mentions, and cuckoo and peacock, of course. There's so many wonderful birds. These are all Krishna's artistic creation. And then the Manu, who is the father of the mankind, is considered to be the intelligence, and humanity is his residence. So the Manu is considered to be Krishna's intelligence. Manu is actually Ikshvaka Manu is in this particular age. Ikshvaka Manu, Vaivashvata Manu. And then it says in Bhagavad Gita also, Manu is actually giving this knowledge to Ikshvaku from king dynasty. It's coming to the humans. So the Manu, who is the first personality who has been given this knowledge, he is considered Lord's supreme intelligence. And humanity is his residence. So here again said, Manur, Manisha, Manuja, Nivashaha. So humanity is considered Lord's residence. And Gandharva, Vidyadhara, Charana, so all of these wonderful personalities, they represents their very excellent musical talent. They represents Lord's musical artistic nature. And the demons, the demoniac soldiers, represents Lord's wonderful prowess, his prowess. And going on further, the Virata Purushas is verse number 37. The Virata Purusha's face is the Brahmanas, and the face is considered Brahmanas, and the arms are considered Kshatriyas, and thighs are considered Vaishyas, and Sudras, Lord's lotus feet. They are under the protection of the Lord's lotus feet. And the wonderful demigods, So here again it says that Sukadeva Goswami says that everyone should do karma vitana yoga, means they have to perform sacrifices with proper elements to appease the Lord. So he's saying about sacrifice here. And then the verse 38 and 39 again is one other important point. Is Brahmanas are also considered the the mouth of the Supreme Lord. Like whenever we feed Brahmanas, it is considered that Lord actually personally eats. So that is another point here. And then the verse 38 and 39 here, Sukadeva Goswami is saying that Ishvara Vigrahasya Ya Sannivesha. So I have explained the gross materialistic conception, the Virata Purusha. And then he is saying that one who desires liberation should concentrate his mind, manasvo buddhaya, with his concentrate his mind, and then with this form of the Lord, because in the material creation there is nothing more, he's saying. And finally the verse number 39. So again he is saying one should concentrate his mind upon this Virata Rupa. Who alone, like Lord alone, is distributing distributing himself in so many manifestations, and in this material world, just like we dream. When we dream, we create so many things in our dream. Just like that is giving an example, and saying one must concentrate the mind on him and only all blissful absolute truth. So here again, Sukadeva Goswami is emphasizing on concentrating one's thoughts in the form of this Virat Rupa that was described here. Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Let's offer obeisances. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srimad Prabhupada ki jai. Our obeisance to all the devotees. Vancha kalpatarabhesha kupasandu bevacha. Paditanam pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you for the nice class today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.